Okay, so continuing on from the previous video, we've divided these walls with these wall divisions in between them. If we go to 3D view, we can see that they're existing in the parts view. But if I switch the parts visibility to original, the element still consists of a wall. So the idea is that the parts are embedded in the wall. If you change the wall, the parts will follow along. So it's a nice way of dealing with all those potential things that can go wrong. But because of the way we've done it, we have this weird junction here, which doesn't in any way connect this wall to this wall. So we want to have a way of setting it up so that if I go back to here, we can get some kind of a junction that looks like this, which happens at the corners of these walls. So how would we set that up using the parts tool? So that's what I want to show you now. So I'm just going to go back into that view here. And we can see that actually this will work quite well for us if we just move the entire junction from grid line A all the way down to this point here. So we can see that in actual fact the 16mm gap that we've put in here should exist at this point here. So I'm just going to use a detail line and draw it across. Whoops. And I'm going to offset that detail line by 16mm, just so we have some kind of a guideline as to where we want it to be. So now we know where we want it to be. And what we can also do is, let's just be extremely accurate, let's offset it again, and this time I'm just going to offset it 8mm, so we get one in the center there. So now I've got a position for a cut. So the first thing is I'm going to select the part, and I'm going to edit the division. The intersecting references I'm going to change first of all by selecting the grids and switching off grid A, and there it's disappeared. That's one thing. But now, rather than using the grid references, I'm just going to use a sketch. So edit sketch, and we can just pick that line that we've made here in the center as the point of the grid line. And if we just accept that, you can see that it's moved it into the right place for us. So I'm just going to accept that there. So now we have the grid, or the joint between the corner in the right position, but it still seems to be a small little piece of wall that you would never, this is not providing any structural stability to this wall at the moment. So the way to deal with that is just to select both of these parts, and now we can just merge them together. So now we've got one piece of wall that is dealing with the junction there between all the other elements. And you need to go around and do that at each junction, because you need to be very specific about how you deal with the parts in this situation here. So the next thing we want to do is we've got the at least in LOD 300 we have the idea of where the panels need to be. So you could say that we have an exact idea of the sizes of the panels. So we want to now place them in a plan. So if I select it here, we can see this one has something that's called a mark, which is part of the identity data. Now the mark allows us to individually identify any element within REVIT. So I want to first of all make a new schedule. I'm going to come over here and say new schedule. Let's just say that. And I'm going to make a parts schedule. So I come down to parts. And press OK. Schedule keys. Now let's just make parts schedule. OK. And we can add all these values to it. So let's say base level, assembly. No, we don't need that. Areas. We want height. We want length. And I suppose we want material. And maybe thickness, and press OK. So in here you can see that we have all the the elements of the that we've put in here. You can see some of them are associated and some of them are not associated, and some of these are hidden, I can see. So the one thing I need to also add there, if we go back in here, is we want to add the mark option, because we want to be able to identify it. So I'm just going to move that up to the top. Mark. And at the moment, let's just remove this because it's just confusing things. And that's okay. So now we can come in here and give everything a mark. So in this case here, I'm just going to call it C. Let's just say concrete panel 01. We have 08, 09, and we have 010. So each of these panels now has an individual mark, which means we can schedule them separately. So if I go back into the plan view now, we should be able to tag these columns. So sorry, these panels. So if we go back into this here, what we're looking for is a drawing that looks something like this, where we have the positions of everything, but we need to have an individual name for each one, so we can position them within the entire concrete plan for the project. So the way to do that is to use the parts tag. So I'm going to come up here and say annotate, and I want to use tag by category. Now if I try and tag this, you can see there's no tag loaded for parts, so I'm just going to say yes to load one. Go to annotations, architectural, and I think it's in, no, it's not an architectural, is it? It's just in the main, in the new version of REVIT, it's just out here, and part tag. So there we go, let's open. So now you can see that it actually has the mark set up, so we can play with this tag, for example, and we can say we don't want the leader on it. We want to bring this one in a little bit closer to the whole situation. But once we've done one of them, we can say tag all, and we just want to tag all the part tags. Apply that. Okay, and now we've called up every single precast element in the project. So it relates to, it's a good idea to make these things readable by just taking them slightly outside, like this. So then we have a layout plan for these concrete panels, related directly to the parts, but also related directly to the walls that they're embedded in.